That there's a common bond that is shared between the parties and the people that comprise our parties in both Iowa and New Hampshire. We're both very proud of the role that we play in the presidential nominating process, and it's a very important role. The fact that in neither of our states does the candidate with the largest bank account or those who run the most ads necessarily is successful, but it's a candidate that actually gets out there and allows regular working citizens an opportunity to ask the tough questions and to vet those candidates. That really is the strength for both our states when we are advocating for the traditional role they play. I had a wonderful opportunity during my first term to work with Chairman Kimball's predecessor, and I'm glad that that relationship is continuing with his leadership here. The one thing that I want to make sure every New Hampshire Republican understands is that they have an ally some 1,000+ miles away in Des Moines, because Iowa Republicans are in solidarity with New Hampshire Republicans in making sure that we maintain the integrity of the 2012 calendar. But more importantly, we share the common bond that we believe America is on the wrong path. And we need to remain focused that even after the caucusing is done and the primary voting is done, that we are laser focused on making sure that Barack Obama is a one-term president. And that's something not just Republicans, but increasingly independent voters and even disaffected Democrats in both our states understand. So, I look forward to working with Chairman Kimball and the rest of his leadership team here to make sure that we elect a Republican president in November, and to make sure that the integrity of the 2012 rules passed by 2/3 of the RNC remain intact. So with that, turn it back to Chairman Kimball. But thank you for having me today.
Yeah, I completely concur with everything that Matt said. I'll just add that all of us know what we did on November 2nd. It was amazing. And we want to make sure also in New Hampshire that we elect a Republican governor. It's the only piece of unfinished business that we have. We intend to do that. I'll be focused on that because I also believe, as Matt believes, it's critically important that we elect a Republican president as well. But it's also important that from a state perspective, that we strengthen the states with good conservative governors and conservative legislatures moving forward. So that's one of the key roles here for me, and that's what I intend to do as well. But as you can see, we're completely on the same page. We've struck up a friendship. I can assure you that Iowa has been beside us all the way, and we will be beside them as well. So, and we'll add one last thing, and if you want, you can ask us a couple of questions. I think it's important that all the citizens of this country get to see as much of the candidates as humanly possible. I think it's important to get in front of the people of Iowa. Equally important, certainly, New Hampshire. We do a pretty darn good job of vetting these national candidates for president. And I think that it behooves us to push for that. And I would reach out to all the candidates and request that they give Iowa, New Hampshire equal footing with their caucus in our primary, and to try to make sure that as many people, many of the voters as possible get to meet them. Because I think that that's what it's all about. So that they get to know them, ask the tough questions, and differentiate these candidates with their answers.
Any questions?
Yeah, please. Welcome to New Hampshire, Mr. Strawn. We've had the privilege in New Hampshire of getting to know Congressman Steve King quite well. There's a gentleman and a force of nature to be reckoned with. He's adamant about the importance of Iowa's position and New Hampshire's position as first in the nation. With states such as Florida trying the hardest to shift the calendar around, why do you think it's important that the status quo remain the way it is?
Well, first and foremost, 2/3 of the voting members of the RNC voted in support of this calendar that specifically recognized that traditional role that Iowa and New Hampshire play. And as I talked about just a minute ago, neither of our states are states that can be won on the airwaves, that you actually have to talk to voters, give voters an opportunity to kick the tires on the respective candidates and test their mettle and see what they're made of. And I think that's great for the process, quite frankly, whether you're Republican or Democrat. The fact that candidates are expected. I know in Iowa, we joke that not only will you probably meet the person you're going to caucus for, but you probably had a chance to ask them a tough question. I think that's good for the process. It's good for democracy. And I think that Iowa and New Hampshire have, I guess, taken that responsibility with a sense of seriousness and purposeness that helps strengthen our argument as to why we should maintain that role.
Thank you.
So just so I probably understand, I mean, as chairman, you have absolute authority to set the date of the caucus. It's not voted on by a board or something. It's just
correct. Yeah, correct. I've got a governing board of a state central committee, but in large part, we certainly work in consultation with Secretary of State Gardner's office, and in large part, we'll wait and see once October 1 passes, which of course is the deadline for states to be in compliance with the RNC rules, and then we'll act accordingly. But one thing that I've told our Republicans, and I've said publicly, is optimistic we'll be able to stick to the dates contained within the rule that the RNC provided. But make no mistake, it will be Iowa, New Hampshire. The date may change ultimately, but the order won't.
And presently, that date for the caucus is February.
It would be my hope that we would remain on February 6th.
Okay.
And just for the record, tentatively we're February 14th, St. Valentine's Day. But that's the way right now it's structured, and we're hopeful that it will stay that way. And the reasons are obvious. I mean, look, if Florida happens to move back, it's going to push everyone back. We're going to be all crammed, like we were before. You're going to be all crammed into January, well, maybe earlier, who knows. It's unfair to the party. It's certainly unfair to the candidates. We want to make sure that they have the opportunity to get to each of our states and spend the time necessary. And it would hurt to me, the process, if that would happen.
And I hope we are able to maintain that traditional 8-day window between Iowa and New Hampshire. I know last cycle it was a little more condensed, but I think it probably serves both our states well if we're able to keep that 8-day window.
Have you, gentlemen, had a chance to speak to other GOP chairs in other states and sort of gauge their feelings about the order of voting appearance, and how do they feel about it?
Well, most of them are on record, having voted in support last August at our meeting in Kansas City. I know we do have some new chairs, like Chairman Kimball, that have been elected after that. But for the most part, people, especially as Republicans, understand that if we are a party that's going to abide by the rule of law, we should follow the rules we set for ourselves. And I think that is a pretty compelling argument from a procedural standpoint. But also there's an understanding of the unique role that Iowa and New Hampshire do play.
I agree.
How supportive have the presidential candidates been in terms of financial support for your respective parties? Obviously, the fundraising of the New Hampshire GOP has been in the news.
Individually, we've had some reaction from 2 or 3 of the candidates. I don't know that I want to mention their names, but and certainly we would be approaching the rest of them as we move forward. But and I think it's important. We're going to do everything we can for them in both of our states, and it does cost money to do those things. And so, whatever they can do for us, through their contributors, through their PACs, their campaigns, would be appreciated.
And for us, the caucus is an intra-party activity, not a state-sponsored activity, so we bear financial responsibility for all the organizing in the almost 1,800 precincts around the state. So a lot of the fundraising we do goes towards paying for those caucus-related activities. But I think the largest role that the candidates play in the process is helping those local candidates with a draw at their event. For the $25 spaghetti dinners and chili suppers. I think that's probably the most important role they play in helping build the Republican bench in Iowa.
Now, we'll add from the New Hampshire perspective, as you already know, we've had some of the candidates in for our speaker series, and that is directly being involved with fundraising for us on our behalf. So that's a big help too. And as if you don't know, we have Herman Cain on the 21st of July will be here, and I think we've confirmed the venue. Is that all confirmed?
Yeah, I'm just waiting, but
Yep, but it's going to be at the Elks Club in Dover. And we're working on a speaker we're close to announcing, but not yet, a speaker for August and possibly September. We'll see. We want to get the rest of the year booked, and I'm working very hard to do that, and so we'll put it out to the press when we know. But all of those are fundraisers for the state GOP, and some of the speakers will be candidates, and those candidates that have offered to help us out. We greatly appreciate that.
Okay, we gotta wrap it up.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.